how to answer the Reading Level 2 question paper, and it's paper reference PENR2. So questions 1 to 4 on section A are pretty straightforward. Most people usually get 6 or 7 marks on this one. So I will move on to the bit where people usually start going a little bit wrong. And that is here from question 5. So what does each of these quotations from text B suggest about the on-screen entertainment? So literally all you need to do is to write what that means in your own words. So for example, limitless choice can mean endless, boundless, never-ending range, lots or a huge amount to choose from, infinite choice, and so on. And binge watching box sets, again, literally what does that mean in your own words? Viewing lots of episodes in one go, watching too much in one go, or watching a whole series of a box at once. So anything along those lines can be accepted. Question 6 again is quite straightforward. Question 7 is one that people often get wrong, because it's a bit of a tricky one, this one, because it's asking you for the name of the report. And if you look at the text, you'll see that it's actually called A Decade of Digital Dependency. And how we know that is from the footnote at the bottom of the text, where it tells us what the title of the text is. So that one is a little bit of a tricky one. I think they've been a bit sneaky there with that one. Question 8. People seem to answer 8A okay, but then have a problem with 8B, because they seem to forget that it's actually talking about young people's learning. And quite often people are putting things like health risks like obesity and can cause problems with friendship, which is not actually talking about the learning. So what they're looking for is that it affects behaviour, gives delays in language development, and reduces time for reading. So you must make sure that you're reading the questions carefully and properly. Okay, question 9. It's literally looking for 2 quotes that suggest that reducing screen time can be difficult. A lot of people seem to struggle with this one and either write ways in which people are using their phones or reasons why they should be reducing the phone usage, instead of actually giving the quote that tells you that the author thinks that reducing screen time would be difficult. So what you're looking for is they might struggle to go for up to 24 hours without connecting to the internet, or that you must be resolute or self-disciplined, or no pain and no gain, persevere with it for at least a week. So they're all showing that it might be difficult to reduce your online time. Now, question 10. This one is again one that most people do struggle with, but we have done it in class, and most people tend to forget that they're looking for language features and give presentational features. So it's not looking for things like bullet points, headings. It's looking for the language features, which are things like your rhetorical question, direct address, command, informal language, and so on. All of these things here. And then it literally wants you to give the language feature. So rhetorical question you would write there, and then your example would be an example of a rhetorical question from the text. So for example, rhetorical question here, and then here, are you completely dependent? Here you could put direct address as your language feature, and then under here, if you think you and your family. So just be careful when it's asking for language features. It's not asking you for presentational features. You need to make sure you know the difference between the two. Okay, moving on to question 11. That's quite straightforward. It's a multiple choice answer. Question 12 can cause a little bit of difficulty, and that most people seem to know what they're being asked to do, but they're not being careful enough when they're rereading it back. So it's asking you to give one word or phrase to replace transformed that keeps the meaning of this quotation. So you could say, this changed the way people watch, or it altered, or it made a difference to. Now, some people have written things like changes, but if you put that into the sentence, it's changing the tense of it. So instead of saying transformed the way people watch, or changed the way people watch, it's changes the way people watch, and that's wrong. So you need to make sure that you're actually replacing it with the same tense or kind of word. And again, for B, prohibit, So forbids won't do because it's the wrong tense. Forbid will do. Stop people using, you could have not permit. So you've got to make sure that when you read the sentence back with your word in it, that it means exactly the same as the words that you've replaced. And don't forget, you can use a dictionary if you're not sure of the word, what the words mean for this question in your exam. Question 13 is worth 6 marks, so it's quite an in-depth answer that's required. And again, a lot of people don't read the full question. So compare similar ideas from text A and text C about the effect of using laptops, tablets and mobile phones on the way people behave. In your answer, you should give 2 similarities from these texts about the effect of using laptops, tablets and mobile phones on the way people behave, and then give 1 quotation from text A and 1 quotation from text C to support each similarity. So you need to find a point of similarity in both texts and then give a quotation that backs up that point of similarity from each text. And then you need to find a second point of similarity and then give a second quote which backs up the new point of similarity. For example, you could say that one similarity is that both texts talk about people watching too much television. And your quote could be from text A, binge watching has become the norm, and text B, or text C, sorry, viewing a box set rather than one episode of a show is now commonplace. So there you've given your similarity and you've given your quote that backs each point up. Then you would need to do another one of those to get the full 6 points. It's no point just giving the quotes that show the similarities because you can't get the points if you haven't given the similarities and then backed it up with the evidence of the quotes. Question 14 is quite straightforward if you know your language features again. So they're used in, I think it was at question 10, and then they're used again in question 14. You need to be able to decide which statement is true regarding the language features. So if you're not sure of those, perhaps do a bit of revision on them. And then question 15 again is quite straightforward. It's just asking you for quotes which show that technology can have a negative effect on the relationships with families and friends. So it's one quote from each text. Just make sure that the quotes that you choose do actually answer the question. Sometimes people kind of forget the question that they're asking for. If you're doing it on paper, you can highlight the key points, but just make sure that when you read it back that you've actually answered the question with the quotes that you've done. And if you can do all that, then that should be getting you your pass on the level 2 reading paper. Thank you.